How to tell if an Etsy keyword is worth using. You're doing keyword research on Etsy. You see a keyword that looks promising, but then you freeze. Is the competition too high? Are enough people actually searching for this? And what do those colored bars mean? A lot of sellers end up either chasing perfect keywords that don't exist or avoiding keywords altogether because they're scared of getting it wrong. In this video, I'm going to show you how to tell whether an Etsy keyword is worth using, not whether it's perfect, using the signals you see in Erank's keyword tool. By the end, you'll know how to judge keywords realistically, balance demand and competition, and choose keywords you can actually test with confidence. Before we look at any numbers or coloured bars, there's one really important thing to clear up first. There is no such thing as a perfect keyword on Etsy. Etsy is a very established marketplace with millions of listings and sellers all competing for buyers' attention. That means that keywords with a lot of search almost always come with a lot of competition. So if you ever feel it's impossible looking for a keyword that has huge demand and almost no competition, you're not missing something. It's just really rare. That's why keyword research isn't about finding the best keyword. It's about finding the keyword that makes sense for your listing in your shop and then testing them. Once you approach keywords with that mindset, the tools become much easier to use because they're there to help you compare options, not to give you a single right answer. And that's where the coloured bars in Erank come in. When you're using Erank's keyword tool, you'll see coloured bars next to different metrics, and those bars are there to help you compare keywords at a glance. They're not telling you whether a keyword is good or bad, instead they're showing you relative levels, how one keyword compares to others using colour as a visual shortcut. For example, for competition, lower levels show as green and build through amber and red as the competition increases. That's because the more listings there are for a keyword, the harder it can be for your listings to be seen. For demand-related metrics like searches and clicks, it works the opposite way. Lower activity shows as red, building through amber to green for higher activity. That's because if buyers aren't searching or clicking, even a great listing won't get much visibility in that search. The key thing to remember is these colours are about comparison, not judgment. They help you quickly see how different keywords stack up against each other. And once you understand that, you can start using them to make better decisions instead of chasing perfect numbers. A good place to start when judging a keyword is the competition. Competition simply shows how many listings you'd be competing with if you used that keyword. The higher the competition, the harder it can be for a listing, especially in a newer or smaller shop, to be seen. This doesn't mean you should avoid higher competition keywords, it just means you need to be realistic. When you're looking at the coloured bar for competition, use it to compare keywords against each other, not to decide if something's allowed or off limits. For example, if you're choosing between a few similar phrases, the one with a slightly lower competition may give you a better chance of being seen, even if the search demand is similar. The goal here isn't to find zero competition, it's to find a level of competition that makes sense for your shop right now. Once you've found a keyword with a level of competition you can realistically work with, the next thing to look at is demand. Demand shows whether there are actually buyers actively searching for that keyword and whether they're clicking when they see it in search. In Erank's keyword tool, this is reflected in things like average searches and average clicks, with the coloured bars helping you quickly see whether activity is low, moderate or higher compared to other keywords. If very few people are searching for a keyword, or if buyers aren't clicking on listings when they do see it, then even the best optimized listing won't get much traffic for that term. At the same time, demand looks different in different niches and at different times of the year, so there's no single right number to aim for. The goal is to simply make sure there's enough buyer interest to make the keyword worth testing before you spend time building a listing around it. And alongside demand and competition, there's one factor that matters even more than both: Relevance comes first. Before competition or demand, the most important question to ask is whether the keyword actually describes your item. If a buyer searches for something specific and your listing doesn't match what they're looking for, they're unlikely to click and even less likely to buy. For example, if someone searches for opal ring and they're shown a handbag, it doesn't matter how good that handbag is. It's simply not relevant to the search. So when you're evaluating a keyword, always start by asking, would a buyer searching for this expect to see my product? If the answer isn't a clear yes, it's not a good keyword for that listing, even if the demand looks great. Relevance is what connects your listing to the right buyers, and it's the foundation everything else sits on. Once relevance is clear, then it makes sense to balance demand and competition around it. Balancing relevance, demand, and competition is where everything comes together. A keyword is usually worth testing when it hits three things at the same time. It clearly describes your item, there are enough buyers searching and clicking, and the competition is at a level that you can realistically compete in. You don't need all green bars, you don't need perfect numbers. In fact, trying to find a keyword that's perfect in every category often leads to frustration because those keywords are rare. Instead, think in terms of balance. You might choose a keyword with slightly higher competition if its demand is strong and it's a great fit for your item, or you might focus on a lower competition keyword with more modest demand if it gives you a better chance of being seen. The coloured bars help you compare those trade-offs quickly, but the decision still comes down to what makes sense for your listing and your shop. And once you've found a few keywords that look promising, the next step isn't to commit to just one, it's to test them. Even when a keyword looks promising on paper, there's no guarantee it will perform the same way for every shop. That's because results depend on lots of things working together: your photos, your pricing, your niche, and how buyers respond to your particular listing. So instead of trying to find the one right keyword, it's usually better to identify a small group of keywords that all look reasonable and then test them over time. This takes the pressure off making a perfect choice. If a keyword brings in views and clicks, you'll start to see that in your stats, and if it doesn't, you've learnt something useful. You can move on to the next test. Keyword research is much more effective when you treat it as an ongoing process, not a one-time decision. And there's one simple way to make the process easier to manage. Keep a track of the keywords you want to test. Once you start thinking in terms of testing keywords, it does really help to keep track of the ones you're considering. Instead of trying to remember which keywords look promising, you can save them in a keyword list in Erank and come back to them later. This lets you build a short list of potential keywords for a listing or product range, and then check back over time to see how they performed. Some keywords might turn out to be stronger than others, and that's completely normal. The important part is that you're learning from what actually happens rather than guessing. Keeping track this way also makes keyword research feel much less overwhelming. Because you're not starting from scratch each time, you're building on what you've already tested, bringing it all together. A keyword doesn't need to be perfect to be worth using. By focusing on balance and testing rather than chasing perfect numbers, keyword research becomes much more manageable and much more effective over time. If you want to keep track of keywords you're testing or explore ideas, the keyword tool and keyword lists can help make that process easier. And if you found this helpful, make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss future tips and tutorials.